the feeling of betrayal is very real now. It is very, very real because now you see some of the biggest Bollywood celebrities who are icons in Pakistan literally tweeting genocidal stuff about Pakistan. Literally, like blatantly saying that, oh yeah, Pakistan should be annihilated.
You're a young Pakistani doctor who also happens to be one of the most popular travel storytellers from your country. A content creator who spent time and effort capturing the people, the cultures, the food, and the human connections that rarely make it to the headlines. But then conflict and war break out. Nearly 70 people are killed in a matter of days in India and Pakistan, including civilians in Kashmir on both sides. On TV, the language of dehumanization and jingoism is strong in the news coverage. On social media, the hate is just as vicious. So, in moments like these, what's the role of a content creator or storyteller? Do you speak, or do you stay silent in an effort to preserve your brand? So, on Real Talk today, I'm speaking with Bilal Hassan to talk about war, memory, partition, and the role of content creators in a time of conflict.
Hi there, my name is Bilal Hassan, also known as Mr. Paki, and today I will be on the Real Talk podcast.
Bilal Hassan, thank you so much for taking the time to be on Real Talk.
Thank you for having me.
No, of course, there's really a lot to speak about, as you can imagine, Bilal.
Yes.
But I want to start with this present moment. I mean, let me ask you how you're feeling first.
My God, it's a mess. I feel like a mess right now. It's a complete mess. Imagine like I looked at my on my Instagram, I looked at like like how many people have viewed your account. It said 26 million. And 26 million, imagine it's 26 million people sending you hate. 26 million. And it's wild. It's absolutely wild. And the only reason is because I talk about my country. I'm talking about my country. That's what's happening. Because I have a pan South Asian audience. Like a lot of people all over South Asia do
Right.
follow me. But this is probably the first time where I was like, it's necessary. I should speak for my country. Like I should stand by it. And again, I'm not sending hate to anyone, not even to the other side. I'm just saying we should stand for our country. And I think that was like the first post I put out. Like I think when we got attacked, I literally just put up an Instagram post. Like it was a black screen. I just wrote it. I was like, screw your big following, screw whatever your clout, because a lot of Pakistanis have Indian followings. So people are scared to say anything. They're scared to show their Pakistani identity out of the fear that and they will lose their Indian following. And to this day, like a lot of big R influencers still haven't spoken up and they are being called out for it. I put it up at 3 in the morning. I was like, y'all better be speaking up right now and you all better be standing by this. So yeah, like I'm hanging in. I'm hanging in.
Let's unpack this for a moment. What you said about
Sure, go
26
for it.
million, I'm assuming it's the 26 million impressions or engagement with your account, correct?
Yes, of course, of course, of course.
Okay, so walk me through that.
But it's wild. It's wild that that many people are looking at my account because I post about travel culture and everything. And this is one of those moments where I'm not flattered by it. Like, usually you're really flattered. Oh, yeah, that's how many people are looking at me. But it is insane, and it's insane the language that is being used. It is insane the levels of depravity that like someone could go to and say stuff like that. That is what it is, and that is what messes with your mental health. But that's the thing. Like the like we in India, like right now, it's basically been overtaken by um like people who are from the Hindutva. And Hindutva is basically a version of Hindu Zionism. That is basically what it is.
Hindu nationalism,
And
sure.
they have yeah, and it's Hindu nationalism and this Hindu supremacy where they have very successfully otherized Pakistanis and also like Muslims in India. And it's a very calculated thing, which has been happening for years. We've been seeing it for years. And it started from Bollywood. A lot of people in Pakistan do watch Bollywood. We understand one another. But over there, like if there's ever a Pakistani character, the Pakistani character is like a terrorist. Or if he's not a terrorist, he's doing something shady. And it's always very caricaturish. Like he wears like this tight choker, is wearing coal in his eyes, is wearing a skull cap, wears a kefaya, but wears it weirdly like a cloak. And successfully the Indian audience has processed that. Like imagine like a country of 1.4 billion and they view all Pakistanis like that. And that is the language they will use then. And the language that they use is like they firstly, like they'll call me Atangwadi, which is like, okay, someone who's like a suicide bomber. They'll call me jihadi. They'll call me mullah. But the level which is worse is when they get to your family, the things they would do to them. And then it's also worse that they also use such vile language in the sense where Muslims are referred to by their genitals. Like a Muslim man is called a katwa. A katwa literally means someone who's cut, as in circumcised. So he will talk to me, he'll be like, Abhi chal katwe, yani shut up, you someone. Like that is how they'll talk to me. Or they'll call me Landia. Landia is someone who has a small dick. Point being, this, and this week, why it has really messed with me is because I have Indian friends, some really good intellectuals, people who, journalists who have been collaborating for years. And when you hear them use language like that for you, like a friend of mine, like a journalist friend of mine said it to me, and we were having a heated discussion. Point being, even during times like these, it's very understood that a Muslim, like a Pakistani, will support his country, an Indian will support his country.
Just on that note, Bilal, because I think it's important to unpack here. So what you're saying, it's obviously one thing. The I guess the aggressiveness, the jingoism that we've seen on mainstream
Yes, of
media
course, of course.
and the coverage. But what you're saying about the fact that you actually have friends from your own circles who have started to turn against you or have
Yes,
started
yes,
to call you out.
yes,
Talk to me about
yes.
this.
That is where it really messes with you, and that is really where it traumatizes you and it breaks your heart because you're like, I welcomed you into my house. I broke bread with you. You know me. You know my family. And I understand it's a difficult time for both of our countries, and I understand you will side with your country, I will side with my country. But when we're having a discussion, we will do it in a decorum. We will maintain respect. But a friend of mine, literally, we were having a discussion, and he literally said, he's like, Abe chal katwe. Like he literally talked to me through directly at my genital. That is what he called me. He's like, you cut person. And I was like, yeah, I am. But point being, but how dare you? How dare you? And I just replied to him. I was like, excuse me. He's like, I was joking, haha. I was like, no, no, it wasn't a joke. I have been so dehumanized in your eyes that it was normal for you to say it to me, even to me, and I'm your loved one. And that is what has happened. This hate, this fascism, this systematic dehumanization of Pakistanis and Pakistani identity in the minds of the Indian, the common Indian, it's very successfully done. It's in the language, it's in the media. It's like it's like I understand now, because I've spoken to a lot of friends who are like Palestinian friends, and I would and but they're the 48 or the 49er Palestinians, the ones who
48
actually live
Palestinians, yeah,
in the
Palestinian citizens of Israel.
48, yeah. Exactly. So like these are people who live there, or have family there, and they hold Israeli passports. So I spoke to them once. I was like, I understand you probably do speak Hebrew and everything. I was like, have you tried to have dialogue like with Israeli citizens, with people over there? They're like, Bilal, it's like I'm hitting a wall against my head. And that is exactly what I feel like now. They say the same jingoish stuff, they use the same language. It's like a script. It's like a script. And that is where we've gotten to right now. And that is like what has happened.
But what if somebody turns this around on you, Bilal? And I understand that Pakistani media may not
Sure,
have
sure.
been as aggressive as
Mhm.
Indian media in terms of its
No.
rhetoric, but again, the use of dehumanizing language, I'm sure we've seen on social media, also from Pakistanis towards Indians, in the usage of memes and other
Mohammed, we
things as
don't
well.
yes, there is memes and everything, all that stuff, but we don't use language like that on them because it's not in our culture to use such language. Like I'll give you an example. I posted one reel and it was for peace. I posted it for peace. I've only spoken about peace. And it was a video of my grandmother. And I was like, this woman is 92 years old. She's been through two wars. She survived cancer twice. And she was repeatedly saying it that day. She's like, I can't see another war. I can't see another war. And I don't think I will survive this one. And I just posted it. I was like, I know this will get to people across both sides. They're like, oh yeah, your daddy's already, your grandmother's lived a long life anyways, or she's gonna die anyways, or might as well die in war. People are saying stuff like that. Like they did not even have the respect. Ke, like, okay, it's a grandmother. Right now we should. This is not the time. You can insult me, but this is the level of depravity it's gone to. And point being, Mohammed, it has been happening with Indian Muslims for a long time. We just the thing is, like, and that's the discussion we were having in Pakistan, was that Pakistanis as a whole, we have very short memories. And at the same time, we're also very forgiving. We let these things go. Also, because, a lot of us are also enamored by Bollywood, enamored by their media, because we grew up with this. These are our cultural references. So we let it go, we let it slide. But point being, Mohammed, it's been happening. It's been happening for a while. This is not an overnight process. We have been seeing this for a while. This erasure of this Muslim identity has been happening. Some of the biggest Bollywood blockbusters, like there's Padmavat, there's another one and everything, where all of the Muslim characters are so shown as these really angry people. But the Hindus were also like glorified and seen as these really the ones who came to save the people from these savages. The Mughals, a very important chapter in our common history, has been erased from Indian school books. Like the Taj Mahal is the icon of India. When you go to India, you take a picture with the Taj Mahal. That is being villainized. That is being demonized. So, like, that is an ideology which we're up against.
You talked about something really important here, which is
Okay.
the language, but also the story of your grandmother and how Pakistanis
Yes.
are enamored by Bollywood culture, and there's so much cultural
Yes.
exchange happening between the two countries. One of the posts that you made on your Instagram, which I'm sure got a lot of traction, was a story of your grandmother, right? Pakistani grandmother who
Yes.
has a photo of herself and a Bollywood couple. One of them is Dilip Kumar, who's one of
Kumar,
the
yes, a legend.
icons of Bollywood cinema. So talk to me about that story. This was one of her most prized possessions that she would show guests, basically.
Oh, every guest that would come in her house, she would talk about it. It was her talking point. It was her opening. And that picture was framed. It was there in her room. It was always there in her room. And she was very proud of that. And it was like it was a story, an opener she would have with guests. And she secretly wanted them to ask her about it because it's right there in front of the room. It's like, oh, what happened? She's like, and then she starts with the story. She's like, yeah, they came and I hosted Dilip Kumar and his wife Saira Bano. But when this war broke out, and because point being, Mohammed, I'll tell you what happened. What happened was this dehumanizing language wasn't just to me, it is for everyone. And my grandmother has been seeing it on television. She consumes their media. She consumes their media. She's a very big consumer of it. Somewhere in her subconscious, it was there, but I guess she was in denial. She was in denial about it that she's like, okay, I still like their movies. I still grew up at a good time. But I think it was that day when the war broke out, and I think she was watching the news, and I think she saw someone say something about Pakistanis. I think they're like, yeah, all these Pakistanis are terrorists. They all deserve to die. Like we should drop a nuclear bomb on them, and we should annihilate that country. And my grandmother is an army wife, and as an army wife, I will tell you, her patriotism is like pro max patriotism. It's not the normal patriotism. And that day, like my grandmother and our rooms are next door to one another. She comes up to me. She's like, Bilal. I was like, yeah, kya hua Datima? What happened? She's like, take this picture. She's just remove it. And I was like, why?
And that
She's like,
came as
my
a
heart
shock
is
to you
broken now.
because you know how much this
It
picture means to
came
her.
as it means the world to her. That is her story. Like her story of like her interaction with a Bollywood legend. She's like, take this picture away from here. My heart is broken. मेरा दिल टूटा हुआ है. हटा दो यहाँ से मुझे नहीं देखना. She's like, take it away from me. I don't want to look at it ever again. And 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 this is a woman who has consumed her entire life. She's 92. That is the culture she's consumed. But for her, like towards this part of her life, to say that, you know what, that's it. This is it. I've had enough. And that was the moment where I realized that maybe we have gone too far in this. Maybe this and a lot of Pakistanis have been talking about this online. They have been saying this that we've known this for years, but maybe the heartbreak now, the feeling of betrayal is very real now. It is very, very real because now you see some of the biggest Bollywood celebrities who are
Yes,
icons
that's
in
what I was going to
Pakistan.
ask you about.
Literally,
Yeah.
literally tweeting genocidal stuff about Pakistan. Literally, like blatantly saying that, oh yeah, Pakistan should be annihilated. One of them actually tweeted that. And this was so vile. So vile. Said that, oh, after we drop a nuclear bomb on Pakistan, imagine how their kids will turn out. They'll turn out deformed. Imagine. That is how much we're dehumanized in their eyes. That you could say something like that.
But this rhetoric, Bilal, from the intellectual and artistic elite of India, and you would probably know this much more than I would, but is this rhetoric, has it changed over the last 10 years or has it advanced over the last 10 years? And I mean specifically under the Modi government.
No, it's a definitely under the Modi regime. Under the Modi regime, it wasn't like this before. Before, there was a lot of cultural exchange. A lot of Pakistani artists would go there. A lot of Indian artists would come here. But what has changed is where to prove their Indianness, their dedication to India, and they have to say they have to shit on Pakistan. They have to say death to Pakistan, and that is what has changed. Um, and there's a sort of like this sadistic humiliation ritual. I will call it a humiliation ritual that the current government makes Muslim Bollywood like superstars go through, like Shah Rukh Khan, and all of these Shah Rukh Khan, Amir Khan, Saif Ali Khan, all of them have spoken about the rising tide of intolerance in India. All of them. You can look it up. Um, and Saif Ali Khan actually is on record to saying that it was very hard for him to find a house in a posh locality in Bombay with a Muslim name. They've all said it. But what the government does is this humiliation ritual where they are made to like meet Modi or take a picture with him and then and like say like it was like he's the best prime minister and so lovely meeting you. And what has also changed is also now like there's a lot of Muslim Indian politicians. And I want to clarify, like Pakistanis do not look at as Indian Muslims as Pakistani. No, they're Indian and that is their identity. But I would look at a few of them just to understand what the Indian Muslim identity is like. So there was one person who's known as Asaduddin Owaisi, very respected politician and very sane. If you look at his like, uh, he speaks very well. Just this week, when all of this happened, I saw a reel on Instagram. I was horrified. He was at a rally and he was saying, "Long live India." Of course, long live India. It's your country. And then he's like, "Pakistan Murdabad, death to Pakistan." I was shocked. I was like, Why do you have to prove your nationalism and to prove your patriotism to your country? Why do you have to wish death on another country?" And that is what is happening. And we've been seeing this happen. We have been seeing this happen over years. Now it's gone on a psychotic level. It's absolutely gone on a psychotic obsessive level where even like Pakistanis are like, what is this?
How much do you think this is going to affect Pakistan's tourism industry? Because, we all know how much Pakistan suffered after 9/11. And I think it's only recently that it's tried to defy and move away from the stereotypes against the country. But when you hear the rhetoric from the Modi government that Pakistan has become a haven for terrorists or a safe haven for terrorists, do you think this is going to be affecting the tourism industry moving forward?
No, I don't think it's going to affect the tourism industry because a lot of people have been starting to catch up on their lives now, and that is the problem now. And all of South Asia knows it's the cat is out of the bag in South Asia, and because Pakistan's not the only country that they bully in the region. If you look at the example of Bangladesh, Bangladesh basically for 16 years they had a puppet government, which was Sheikh Hasina, and then they took her out, and now she's in Delhi. Bangladeshis right now have no love for them. Same thing in Nepal, same thing in Maldives, everywhere. So the thing is, they don't just bully Pakistanis, they bully everyone online. Anyone who doesn't buy their narrative of this delusion that has been sold to the public. And another thing, Mohammed, which has really helped Pakistan is a lot of these independent bloggers that come to Pakistan and that make YouTube videos. They're the ones who have dispelled all these stereotypes. So the point being, now nobody buys their narrative. Like if you look at their narrative right now, what are they talking? They're literally talking. They're like Osama bin Laden. That was 2011. Can we talk about 2025 right now? And another thing which
2001.
they do not like talking about is that they're like, you do terrorism in Pakistan, and but we're like, what about the terrorism that you do on us? Can we talk about that? What about the spies that you sent to Pakistan? Kulbhushan Yadav is a spy who was literally arrested by the Pakistani government. Why are you always celebrating terrorist attacks in Pakistan? And the thing is, we've just been too complacent. We never called them out on it right now. And what about all the cross-border terrorism that you do from Afghanistan on us? So now that's what's happening. So I don't think tourism will be affected in Pakistan. Sorry.
There's an interesting point that you brought up, which I'd like to explore a bit more. The point that you brought up about Bangladesh. I believe you were in Bangladesh recently, filming or
Yes.
doing
Yes.
something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So What was that experience like? What were the atmosphere? What was the atmosphere with the Bangladeshis around you? What were they saying to you as a Pakistani?
Oh,
Given the context
honestly
of
speaking,
Bangladesh's complicated relationship with Pakistan because of the
yes.
1971 war.
Yes. Yes. I'll get into that. So the thing is, when I went to Bangladesh, I did not know what to expect, to be honest. And it wasn't easy for Pakistanis to get a Bangladeshi visa till Hasina was in power. It was completely impossible. And if you did get a visa, you would be detained at the airport 3, 4 hours, the secondary security screening kind of thing, just to humiliate you. Now visas have opened. So I was one of the first few people to get there. And initially, I would not announce my Pakistani identity. I was like, I don't know how they view us. And I was like, we have history, 71 and all that. But my friend over there who was with me, he very proudly would tell everyone, like everyone. He's like, oh, he's my Pakistani friend. He's like, he come from Pakistan. I was like, what are you doing? Relax. And people, every person over there would be like, they would just meet me with a lot of love. And I was like, where is this love coming from? And so the point being with Bangladeshis and Pakistanis, the common man really does love one another. We are like siblings, and everyone does say that. And everyone does understand that whatever it happened was the government's. Point being, a lot of people over here have that intelligence to understand that. And that was very like heartwarming for me in Afghanistan, in Bangladesh, where they were like, Bilal, it was your government. It was the past. It was not your war. And a lot of them were like, we actually are brothers. Every person would be like, oh, yeah, we're brothers, we're brothers, we're brothers. And another thing was that because Hasina has been removed 16 years, so there's a lot of anti Indian government rhetoric. I want to clarify, not Indian people. Like they acknowledge the fact that the Indian government helped them gain independence. No Bangladeshi will deny that because I need to clarify this. bec- but they are very angry at the Indian government, and there is no love over there.
And when you found that rhetoric, I guess, or that kind of sentiment from Bangladeshis around you, did you start feeling that okay, India maybe doesn't have that many friends in the region?
Yes, 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 absolutely. Absolutely. That is what initially hit me. And the messages that I've been getting right now, because after I posted from Bangladesh, I got a big following from Bangladesh also. And they have been sent because I was sharing openly screenshots. I was like, look at these messages. This is what they're talking. This is the language they're talking in. Then Bangladeshis were sharing screenshots with me. They're like, you're not the only one. They're like, they sent this to us even when we stood up for ourselves to send Hasina away. They were like, how dare you? How dare you set up for yourself? Um, and then that's when it hit me. It hit me. I was like, wait. This is a superpower from Timu. They're not even a superpower. They think, and point being, Mohammed, like just to round this off, just to make sense of it, because I think we're it's all over the place, but I need the audience to understand this. The audience in India has been sold a delusion of grandeur that they are a superpower and they are a regional superpower. And one thing that you'll hear them say repeatedly, like in all these comments that they'll send you, that they will send you something vile and then they'll be like, you are a beggar nation. You are a beggar nation. We are fourth largest economy in the world. Yeah, you have like 2 billion people, so obviously. But let's talk about per capita income. Per capita income. Where are you? If we talk about per capita income, they're fifth in South Asia. They're fifth in South Asia. Number one, like if you talk about Maldives is number one. Number two is Sri Lanka. Number three is Bhutan. Fourth is Bangladesh, the country that you hate so much. Fifth is India. Sixth is Pakistan. Seventh is Afghanistan. You are literally between Bangladesh and Pakistan, and you have the audacity to come and tell us that we are a poor country. Excuse me, mind you.
I get the point that you're trying to make, Bilal, but also, I mean, so many would disagree with you all over the world if by saying that India isn't a global power on the regional stage, and not just on the regional stage, on the world stage, really.
India, look, point being, they could be a much bigger global power if they did not bully people around. That is what I'm getting at. They bully everyone in our region, and that's where I realized. That's what I realized. I was like, they don't have friends here. In the Maldives, they tried to build a military base over there, and people in the Maldives protested against it. I went to the Maldives. They have signs all over in Maldives. And again, I wanted to clarify this. I do not hate India. I'm just stating facts over here. In Nepal, I was in Nepal like last week. I scrolled on Nepali TikTok, and they were making about like it was wild. I was like, And they're like, oh yeah, I hope like Pakistan and like Pakistan wins this war so that we can get our Nepali territories back. I was like, hold on, let us handle our stuff. Why are you coming into this? But it's wild because they bully everyone in this region. And when you even talk about like who came to their support when all of this happened, who came to this? Rishi Sunak tweeted in their support, Mossad tweeted, and Netanyahu tweeted. So these are the people. Um, and like for Pakistan, like when I realized, I was like, oh, Turkey came in our support. What's its name? Azerbaijan came in our support. These are people, this country, China's there. So then that's when you realize they're like, I was like, they could be such a much bigger power if they just did not bully people around.
What about the story of your Indian followers? At the beginning of this, you were telling me that you had a lot of engagement from Indian followers. I'm sure you already have Indian followers to start with, even before this conflict, the last
Yeah.
few weeks. So, what was that like? What was that kind of engagement?
Oh my God.
Was it
And there
all
were some
negative?
these people who I no. I need to clarify that not all of it was negative, and I have been sharing this consistently. I have been sharing this consistently. Um, there were, if I were to say like about like 80%, 80 to 85% was negative and was vile. But there were 10 to 15%, 10 to 15% very lovely people who would send me very long messages explaining, and all of them would say the same thing. They would be like, Bilal, we wish we could speak out openly about this, but we just can't. We get doxxed. We get the same vile hate that you're getting, but they're like, we want you to know we are really sorry for all the hate that you're getting there. And everyone would say it very nicely. They're like, Bilal, I understand it's a difficult time, and I understand you will side with your country and we will side with ours. But we are very sorry for. And they were sending really lovely messages, honestly, and some very very nice ones. And some people who I do communicate with. It's actually also kind of been like therapy, where we do still communicate with one another throughout this.
I do want to ask just on that note because, for example, in the UK, I'm in London right now, and
Sure.
sure, there's been a lot of nationalism on both sides from the diaspora, but there's also been
Yes.
voices from the diaspora who's been calling for solidarity and unity and to try and rise above the differences and find the similarities and all of that talk that I'm sure you're familiar with. But how does it strike you when you hear South Asians in the diaspora talking, using this kind of language away from the nationalism and saying, you know what, there's a lot that actually unites us. And while you're someone who's actually from Pakistan, you live in Pakistan, you see things differently. How does that kind of language strike you and how does it land when you hear it?
I mean, a lot of us do want that solidarity, and there is this air of familiarity. I spoke about this yesterday, where that whenever I do travel, I do find a sense of community with the Indian community. Obviously, they're much bigger in numbers, so you will find Indians everywhere in the world, and there might not be a Pakistani restaurant in somewhere like Djibouti or Ethiopia, but you might find an Indian restaurant. So I will go find a sense of community over there. We will maybe speak each other's language, or at least we'll understand one another. The flavors are palate are like is familiar. So I do find that sense of community over there, but what a lot of us are feeling right now is this loss. It's like a loss where we feel like maybe we don't have that community anymore. Maybe it's gone because of the language that has been used, because it is so dehumanizing, where a lot of and I've been speaking to people in the diaspora right now. So and I was talking to this one friend who's in the States, and she started posting also, and she's also like has a big following, like around 250, 260,000 followers, and she was like, Bilal, like I was obviously I need to talk about Pakistan. I need to talk about my country. And she's like, some of the messages that I got were from from parents of kids like who went to school with her kids. And she's like, they're sending me the most vile abuse. She's like, these are doctors, these are engineers, these are anesthetists. She's like, I can't believe this is happening. It got so bad that she's like, I had to go to the school and literally file a complaint or at least like something so that like the kids don't get affected. And that is what is happening over here because there is this ideology. It's an ideology which has seeped in.
When you feel like this has completely changed the sentiments or the relationship, do you also see
Yes,
your role as a content creator changing from today?
I do think about that because obviously now I do feel more outwardly Pakistani, and I have to be more outwardly Pakistani. I have a social media following, all these people, these 100,000 people follow me, millions watch me. I do need to talk about my country. I do need to stand up for it. Like, I do understand when all of these Palestinian creators, like there was Motaz and Plestia, how overnight their lives just became different. They were just simple photographers. They created content, but overnight they felt compelled to defend their homeland. And that is what has happened. Like overnight, I just feel like it. I have this thing in my head where I feel like I have to talk about Pakistan, or I have to talk about the psychological warfare that happens on us, that where they try to shut us up with this language. Because the thing is, Mohammed, this language, like, and I need to give context over this language that they use on us right now, they use it on minority communities in India. This is used on Indian Muslims. This is used on leftists. It's used on progressive voices and progressive journalists. All of them have been shut up because it's India. They have to live there. At the end of the day, they have to live there. So they feel like they could shut us up, but we don't live there. We're not from the same country. I'm not scared of you. You can't shut me up.
Do you feel like there's a thin line that you're walking? I know you were talking about
Yes, yes,
that
yes,
there's
yes.
no space to be silent, but is there also
No.
a danger of being too vocal as a content creator?
Not danger of being too vocal, but I am double thinking all my words because everything can be misconstrued. If you probably noticed, even over here, I have to clarify little things. I have to clarify little because easily these things can be misconstrued. So, like, yes, I am double thinking what I have to say. Very double thinking. Like today, there's one thing which is in my mind, which I have to post is about Pakistanis when they're criticizing, and I need to clarify, criticizing the Indian government, not the Indian people. If you're criticizing the government, do not go all hateful on Hindus because Pakistan has a Hindu community. 7 to 8 million Hindus live in Pakistan. It's the same thing as when if you're showing hate for Zionists, but you just go all anti-Semitic all of a sudden. Point being, if you're going to do that, you're just giving ammo to the other side to go like, ha ha ha, see, caught ya. Oh yeah, you're bigoted. You can't do that. So I'm double thinking everything which I'm saying. So yes, I am walking a thin line. Uh, but I have to speak up. I have no choice.
Do you ever think you would go to India to make content?
I would love to go to India. It's the last South Asian country on my list. It's the only South Asian country that I haven't been to. I've done all of South Asia. I would definitely love to go there. And point being, I don't hate India. I don't hate Indians. I don't. And even if I try to, I can't. Because these are my cultural references. There is a lot of love. There is a lot of common ground with us. We at the end of the day, we're children of divorce, both of us. We literally came from the same parent, the British. See, they're the ones who traumatized us with this. But and I know when Indians and Pakistanis, when we meet, there is a lot of love between us. We get each other. We get each other on a very deeper DNA level. We get each other. Even like if there's a meme, maybe to you, I might have to explain and break it down. With an Indian, if it's something absurd, I'll just show it to them. They'll be like, I understood. Point being, I would love to go. I would love to go someday. And I don't, what I hate, and I need to clarify, I hate this Hindutva ideology, this Hindu supremacy, this Hindu nationalism, this nationalism which is saying that I want to annihilate another country. That is what I hate. Simple as that. I would love to go to India, and it would be a dream. It would be a dream for me to create content over there and connect over there, connect with sane voices, like-minded voices, creatives.
But how possible is it even for a Pakistani content creator to be able to go to India and make content? I understand it's
It's
extremely hard
very
for
difficult.
Pakistanis to
It
visit.
is. It is. It's. The thing is, Mohammed, before it used to be easy. Pre 2014, like intellectuals, creatives like myself, were encouraged from both countries to visit one another because that is how narratives were changed or shifted. Um, but post 2014, it is close to impossible. And like probably the only way which was possible was you go on one of those religious pilgrimages to one of those shrines, but you will probably have to go on a very controlled trip for like a few days, and only a few visas are handed out. So point being, close to impossible at this current rate. Maybe like that's the reality of it, which is sad, which is really sad. Because honestly, content creators and everything, this is what could change opinions on both sides.
What about if we flip it?
Flip it in the sense what?
I meant vice versa. I meant the
Oh, I
experience
lost you.
of Indian content creators to go to Pakistan to make content. What is it the same kind of experience or is it different?
Indians actually experience a lot of love, and quite a lot of Indians have come to Pakistan and have made content. But the sad thing is, what a lot of these who have come, like, and who have gotten a lot of love from Pakistanis have then because again they are bound by their country and their country's ideology. So initially when they post their content, it's all, yeah, so much love, I love Pakistanis, it was such, they were such lovely hospital people. But then all of a sudden, because this war happened, flip, they're like, they're terrible people, all terrorists, and they use that language. It's because they have to live over there. Javed Akhtar, one of the biggest and most respected Bollywood persons, has come to Pakistan or at our literary festivals, at our he was a regular, and he had like a lot of hospitality from Pakistan, a lot of love for Pakistan. Now, like he's like, I don't know, like he's spewing all sorts of this jingoism. Again, Pakistanis, point being, Mohammed, from all of this, long story short, we have a lot of love for one another mutually, and I don't think either will experience hate. Um, I don't know, in the current climate, I can't tell you how it will be. There is this othering which has happened with both of us. Um, but yeah, that's the reality of it.
What about Kashmiris from your perspective? I mean, whether you have Kashmiri followers from Pakistan administered Kashmir or Indian administered Kashmir. I mean, this is something that I've been thinking about. Is that we don't get to see a lot of content coming from Kashmir on from either side. But I'm just curious to
You're
see if
right.
you had a particular experience, whether it's with Kashmiri followers or any kind of content that you've been seeing across your feed.
The sad thing is they're the ones who are left out, and they're the ones who are left out of the conversation. They're the ones who are most affected by it. And in India, I guess over there, because when Article 370 was removed, so there's also this fear which has started over there, and a lot of the Kashmiri creators and journalists that were vocal before have all been silenced. There is, it's a black hole of information. You don't hear anything, and if you do hear from creatives, it's just travel content, purely travel and beautiful stuff. Kashmir is beautiful. But they will never talk about what's happening over there because I guess they're not allowed. And obviously they live there. So that's the sad thing over here. From Pakistani Kashmiris, I don't think they, I mean, I haven't heard the same voices. They are pretty vocal because in Pakistan, Kashmir is divided into two regions. There's the Gilgit-Baltistan area and there's the Azad Jammu Kashmir. So that is essentially all of Pakistani Kashmir. They post their usual travel content, but they're quite vocal in their politics. And officially, these areas of Pakistan aren't constitutionally like they're autonomous regions. They're autonomous regions, and they don't vote in the same elections as us, so they do speak very vocally about that. Point being, in the Pakistani Kashmir there is still an element of politics where people do talk and express their opinions. From Indian Kashmir, post Article 370 removal, I have not heard anything, or if they do hear anything, they will send you a DM and then they will unsend it, like after, like that's like after they've read it, like they are that scared.
Speaking of DMs and messages, have you gotten a message, a DM, or any kind of engagement with your post that's really stuck with you? Something from someone, either someone you know or someone you don't know, that's left some sort of impact on you in the last few weeks.
I mean, a lot of the messages of love that came from India, they all really struck with me because they were deep messages. They were not just like someone just sending you just like they were like really deep, and one person wrote a poem, like literally wrote a poem. They just literally sent me a poem, and the poem was something like, they're like, look, Bilal, and that is who I'm quoting. They're like, we're children of divorce, and our parent was the British. They left us to fight, but I want you to know I love you. I really do love you. I love your work, and I love your ethic, and I know you will support your country regardless. But I want you to know I do not hate you. I will not hate you, and I still don't hate you. And please, and I don't want you to hate me either. And it really did struck with me because it was pure. It was really pure. And we were just talking to one another as humans. I was not Pakistani. That person was an Indian. We just literally just were just talking to one another. Got a lot of messages of, just simple one-liner, just one line. It's like, bro, I love you. Simple. And I was like, I love you too. Simple. And it's just these three words where, without saying so much, I understood everything. It was like I understand it's a messed up situation, but I do not hate you. And that is exactly what we're saying to one another. I got lots of those. Simple. And this was the night, like all of it started. Like it's just I woke up and it's like, oh. And we didn't engage in any conversation after that because everything was said in those two, three words. We understood each other. Like I said, point being, Indians and Pakistanis, we connect, we understand one another on a DNA level. We have the same shared trauma from partition.
Well, can I actually ask you about that, Bilal? Because we've mentioned partition a few times. What is your family's partition story? I understand you're from Karachi,
Yes.
so I can
So my
assume maybe your family is muhajirs, which means that they have come
yes.
from the subcontinent. But
That's
yes,
that
go ahead. From India, from originally from India.
that's a, yes, that's another interesting thing. The term Mahajar, a lot of people have very mixed feelings with that also because the word Mahajar literally translates to someone who migrated, refugee. So a lot of people from my generation, and it's also become a dirty word because it's associated with politics, with a party that used to use the word Mahajar. So a lot of people from my generation will not use the word Mahajar. They will not identify as Mahajar. They will just say Urdu speaking. I'm Urdu speaking. Urdu speaking meaning my mother tongue is Urdu, meaning I'm basically I probably my family migrated from there. So my grandmother migrated, both of them migrated from India. My grandmother they came from Lucknow, like a small city near it, and my grandfather also similarly, like they both came from there and they came to Karachi. A lot of trauma associated with it. And my grandmother still does not talk much about it. Like if I really have to prod her, I was like, what was it like in India? Do you remember your friends? Do you miss your friends? She doesn't talk much about it, but there are stories when like from I've heard from her brother and everything about the burning trains, about the dead bodies being found in the trains, someone escaped through it. So yeah, partition is a very big trauma. At least 8 million people died over there. And that is the real thing we should be talking about. Why did that happen? Why was it so horrific? But we never acknowledge that trauma. And it's a generational trauma which has passed on from generation to generation, and none of us talks about it. And this is literally what we're dealing with right now. It's generational trauma, which is just manifesting itself in these demonic forms.
And that is why I bring it up because I want to kind of see with you how much that pain and that
Hmm.
trauma has
Oh,
shaped you
yes.
into who you are today as a doctor or as a content creator as
Oh,
well and a
oh, oh, absolutely.
storyteller.
Absolutely, Mohammed, because oh, definitely, definitely. And you know, the thing is, like, I didn't go through partition. Like, I didn't. Like, neither did my parents. My grandmother went through it. But I feel that. I feel that pain. I feel that pain. And you know, that is why when I repeatedly say why Indians and Pakistanis, if you leave the politics, you leave the hate aside, we connect emotionally. We connect emotionally because of this trauma. Like, you know, like when we would start talking about it, it gets very emotional, it gets very heavy, but we understand it. That is where we empathize with one another, and that is the sad part, where where I we have stopped empathizing. We don't empathize as humans because over there I will empathize with you. And um like if anyone talks about partition, it gets very heavy. Everyone understands it. And it definitely does shape you because you know the thing is that is where we all started from. That is where our nation started from. So how can it not affect you? And I would say like Bangladesh breaking up was also another partition for us. So me going to Bangladesh also was very heavy for me. It was very emotional for me because again that was also a generational trauma which was just passed on to me. Again, I did not go through that. It wasn't my war, it was my grandparents' war. It definitely does affect you. And because of that, also Bangladeshis and Pakistanis, like you were asking, why do we connect with one another, general people? Because that is our shared trauma. We're basically brothers, we're basically children of divorce. But at the end of the day, it was the politicians who did it. Why should there be hate between people? Same thing with India.
This takes me to the other question, Bilal, which is okay. So after given everything that we've just discussed, and this changing landscape, even for you as someone who's a storyteller, someone who's built a career as a content creator, what do you believe the path forward is? I mean, where do you see your role is becoming?
Okay, I'll do two things over here. One thing is that the path forward is very difficult right now. At the moment, I have to speak up for my country, and that is what I'm going to do. I will speak up for it. And if I have to go to whatever platform, I will speak about it. And I will, wherever I am in the world, I will pick up a phone, connect to the internet, talk about it. I have to do that. One. Number two, if there has to be peace, if between India and Pakistan, we have to talk to one another. Simple as that. We have to talk. And if we're not going to talk, if we're not going to acknowledge one another, there is no peace. And the other side, the Pakistani side, has shown willingness to talk. And this is not me being biased about Pakistan, about my country, but India has repeatedly does not want to talk. And they use the guise of terrorism, that we're not going to talk. Pakistan is a terrorist country, Pakistan and all that stuff. But that is just their way of just because they've othered us. And point being, elections in India, movies in India are sold. Hating on Pakistan is a business. It's on a pathological level. So that is the way forward, basically. And I will always be advocating for us to talk, to sit down, to talk, even if the other side does not want to talk, which is the sad thing of this.
For my last question, Bilal, before we wrap up, I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to list a number of countries, and I just want to see what you want the takeaway to be. So if you have followers from these countries, what would you like the takeaway from your content and your messaging to be? So let's start with India,
Okay,
actually.
I would like them to listen to our side. I would like them to get out of this echo chamber and just listen. Listen to our side. That's all I want them to do. Just listen. Simple as that.
Kashmiris from both sides.
Kashmiris, I empathize with them. I empathize with them. And I would, from both sides, I empathize with both of them because they're the ones who are getting caught in this. They're the ones at the border. What I would want them to take away from this is that that we remember you, that I remember you, and I have not forgotten you, and a lot of people have not forgotten you.
And lastly, Pakistan.
Pakistan, stay strong, stay strong. We'll get through this, and keep loving your country. Keep speaking up. That's what I would.
And actually, one more, because I think this would be important too. Western audiences who are watching all of this unfold.
Western audiences, I would want them to listen more. I know Western audiences, I'd want them to listen to both sides more. And Western audiences, I would want them to be more proactive. And Western audiences, I would want them to leave their biases, specifically regarding Muslims, because they see Muslims from a very specific bias. And I would want them to listen to Pakistan more. India does this whole thing of terrorism in Pakistan. I would want them to listen to Pakistan and listen to Pakistan say and talk about all the stuff that India does in Pakistan also, all of that, and it will make more sense to them. That's what I would want them to take home. To Western audience, also to give us a chance, give Pakistanis a chance to speak more, listen to us also, listen to us, and yeah.
On that note, Bilal Hassan, I want to thank you so much for coming on Real Talk and taking time to really share your story. I really appreciated this conversation. I think it added a lot of context to what's happening. So thank you for coming on, Bilal.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. A pleasure.
Thank you, Bilal. Thank you.